Okay, that was that one. All righty. And we're just goofing off. We're in Ghana. Jonathan, who's pretending like he can play, executive director of life skills. He's on the drums. This was Ghana. Steve Fitzhugh, our co-founder, who's hilarious, always makes me laugh.
I think one of the things that distinguishes the house takes the effort to grab the attention, tune into the wavelength of the young people and their culture and their world. And that's not easily done. It takes work to do that. The house does that, and it does it successfully in conveying a message in ministry, but it's doing it with a clientele that is most adverse. That the house is doing the job of bringing all these resources and tools and programming to students and the clientele that is doing life, as they say, making bricks without straw. Is doing life sometimes with some of the most challenging and situations that anyone can imagine.
Now to yet another weekend of gun violence involving youth in the district. This time, police tell us a teenage boy is dead after a shooting. It happened a couple of hours ago, just before 4 this afternoon.
Yeah, we sent our crew to Green and Galen Streets in Anacostia as soon as we heard about this.
MPD, the U.S. Attorney Office, do your damn job!
A community meeting boiling over with anger at the shooting death of 13-year-old Karan Blake.
A teenager shot and killed while walking home from school became the 200th person murdered in the district this year. Minutes later, a man caught in the crossfire became the 201st victim.
I'm looking at a community that so many times we ride past, but not really understanding what it's like to live in that community. There are so many different levels of poverty that just the average person don't even understand how life is in deep, deep poverty. I can't even fathom what it's like and the danger and just the fear that you have every single day. These streets are really dangerous. And this is life and death.
I remember at this retreat, someone shared and asked for prayer because they thought that they were going to get killed, that they were not going to be here. And we all prayed for them because our retreats are spiritual retreats. And we just prayed. We were in tears and praying for his safety. And wow, this was probably at least 2009. And here it is, 2024. He is alive and well and working.
At one time, when we began the program, I saw a police officer, and he said, "Steve, what are you doing in Southeast D.C.?" I said, "Well, we have a youth center over here." He said, "Where is it?" I said, "It's at 17th and Q." He said, 17th and Q, 17th and Q. "Oh, you mean Murder Row?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "When I was a rookie on the beat, and I had to walk over there at 17th and Q, we were drawing more chalk lines around bodies at 17th and Q than anywhere else in Southeast D.C., and we just started calling it Murder Row." And it's probably not Murder Row today, but we have still buried a number of students, and it's still a very challenged community, even after these many years.
Young people that come to the House DC are, as the school told us, the most challenging kids to reach. They actually said that we have the most difficult kids that attend our program, that go to their school. And so, I mean, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to reach the young people that would typically not go into a youth outreach, would typically not want to make changes. And so we create that safe space. We create that opportunity where they want to come in, they want to stay. We provide a meal for them every night. We have a state-of-the-art recording studio. We have a game room, but all of that, is used to try to engage them and have that opportunity to really connect with them on a deeper level after a few years of them coming, and then you just kind of see a change that's coming in. So, you know, we're in a community with just a lot of issues, a lot of challenges, and we feel blessed to be here. We feel called to be here.
The house is base. That's what I call it. It's a safe base. If you can think about being a child and playing a game of tag and trying not to get caught, if you can just make it to this safe base, I know I'll be okay. You can't touch me here. I'm okay here.
If it wasn't for the DC house, I probably would have still been outside in the streets doing violence or bad things. The things that I was doing before I came to the house of DC. They treat me like family, like little brother, like a son. We did a lot at DC house. They're about family, community, sharing, and caring.
I recently got jumped and stuff like that, but that was way after I got introduced to the DC house and stuff. So it was like, the fact that I made it through that situation, I instantly thought about God. I'm like, I'm still breathing off this jump. You hear me? I'm like, oh, I could have just, like, my whole side of my face was on swole. Like, I'm telling you, I could have been beat to I was as bad as I was fighting for my life. I could have, like, passed out. I could have slipped into a coma or something. Like, a lot of things could have occurred that night, but God really, like, had my hand, like, you're gonna fight these people, you're gonna stand up for yourself. And that's exactly what I had in my head. I'm like, man, if it's my time to die, I'm gonna die. If it's not, then I'm still gonna walk like I'm gonna walk. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the latest crime statistics from D.C. police show that homicides are up 38%, vehicle thefts are up 106%, and overall violent crime is up 38%. Marcus Ellis tells Fox 5, along those lines, civic coalitions and violence interrupters are needed. They work, and he says that the District of Columbia doesn't have nearly enough of them.
There aren't enough, and there is ample amount of funding toward that type of work, but we need to continue to fund and support our violence prevention workers.
We're not a youth center, you know, we're not a program. We are a ministry that is very serious about our walk with the Lord and very serious also about making a difference, because our eyes is on that eternal prize. And we know the things that we've done over the years are generational, and they can make a generational change of breaking cycles and building futures of hope. Approximately 80% of the funds that the House DC receives is from individual donors. We don't receive government funding, and foundations give about 5%, churches about 7%, and about 8% comes from events and business sponsors. One foundation said that they had not seen an organization like the House, where its giving comes primarily from individuals. Our donors give for a higher purpose because of their faith. They believe that through giving to the House DC, they are serving the Lord, and what they do is for an eternal reward. While the House DC does benefit in immediate, tangible ways from their financial support, the impact on the community is far greater because it's generational, and for some, it's even eternal.
So Gabe is a current high student. He's a junior in high school, and this is the first time we've had someone so young speak, and I know he's going to do a great job.
How y'all doing today? I am an 11th grade student at Anacostia High School and a proud student at the House DC. It was November 2017 when I first came to the house. I remember because it was the day my electricity got cut off. My grandmother was struggling to scrape up money to pay the bills on time. She was the only person in my life that could depend on for food. Unfortunately for me, some nights she just didn't have it. When I was 4, my mother died from a sickness and left me with my grandparents. My grandparents always did the best they could, but since my grandfather was the only one come, it made the job twice as hard. My grandfather made sure the lights stayed on, that we had heat and running water. Everything else had to wait. And on June 29th, 2017, my biggest fear became my reality. My grandfather died from alcohol abuse. I was there. He took his last breath in my arms. That day, we lost everything. Everything took a turn for the worse. There was no one to take care of my grandmother, so I had to. There was no one to pay the bills. There was no one to buy me uniforms, and there certainly wasn't any hope. I just wanted to give up, but I couldn't. My grandmother was counting on me. The utilities one by one was turned off. First the small things, then the lights, finally the gas. November 2017, I walked into the doors of the house DC. At this point, it had been months of having no electricity or gas. When I came to the house, I was hungry and cold. I was looking for somewhere I could hang out, get warm, get mine off of things for a while. All the kids always talked about the house DC, but I always was a loner and stayed to myself. But at this point, I was desperate, so I decided to give it a try. My first few months at the house, I remained that way. However, it was hard staying to myself when the staff just wouldn't leave me alone. So, the staff made me feel comfortable, and after a while, I was able to open up. At our Mother's Day event at the house, I finally found the strength to tell my story, and it was a touching story. I got through it. I wanted to publicly thank my grandmother for her strength, and she made it through the entire winter in the freezing cold, dark apartment, and she was on dialysis, which made it tougher. She was much stronger than I ever could imagine. After the staff heard my story, they first got on me for not telling them sooner, and then immediately came to my apartment and surprised my grandma with a check. She nearly had a heart attack. I came to the house DC for a meal, but little did I know I would get a family. This is my family, and I love and appreciate them very much. Since being a student at the house DC, my life took a turn for the better. I have uniforms for school, I have a place I can hang out, and I have meals every night. The house keeps me safe from the streets and out of trouble. At the house, I learned about Christ. I grew a relationship with God. I am confident that I will one day be a successful adult. My life isn't perfect. Me and my grandmother still have our struggles. But now I have faith. And now I have people I can depend on. People I can trust. I thank God for the house DC. I don't know where I'd be without them. Thank you.
We have been that, I don't even know the word to use, that glue, I guess, to keeping students going to school the next day, to help them get up in the morning. I don't know what I would have done had not I had a meal that night, getting up, going to school, trying to take tests, trying to, pass classes when I cannot think because I'm starving, I'm hungry, but I can't tell people that just because I feel embarrassed or I feel ashamed. But the house is a place where you're never on the spot. Who's hungry? Are you hungry? It's not a thing. What's going on? It's no questions. It's just meeting a need. Sometimes you don't even have to ask. The student don't even have to ask. You can look at them. You can tell that this child needs food. This child is trying to survive. This child is hungry, and just meeting those needs. Eventually, we build that relationship where they let us know, this is what's going on. Can you please help me? We build a relationship with parents where they can reach out and say, hey, I'm throwing my hands up. My children need food. I've tried everything. I'm out of food stamps. Please help. And we are able to provide more sufficiently at that point. But just a student walking there, we can tell.
In addition to having a safe place for youth to hang out instead of on the streets, the House DC also provides support to families and the community by giving out groceries, providing weekly hot meals to those on the street who may be homeless or addicted to drugs, to also offering life skills, helping individuals after high school well into their 30s.
Life skills started out kind of as like a curriculum. We're going to teach communication, it's leadership development. We're going to teach anger management. work ethic. That is the premise of life skills, of what I think of as leadership development. Soft skills, what can make you successful in a workplace, learning how to turn street off and turn it into corporate. And so what it is today, it's more personalized in regards to really understanding and knowing that young person and just trying to figure out what best suits you, what is the best avenue to actually help this individual, no matter what it is.
One of the things we do to reach youth is engage them in our state-of-the-art recording studio. Staff will take a popular music piece, use that as an inspiration to change the message into something positive that directs our youth to God, who is the one that offers lasting hope.
Walking how you talking, living logically, and it's a God power and you honestly, and that's my word of prodigy. Speak what they should hear, create a prodigy, and if it's for the Lord, then let them martyr me. I'm ready like a good fella. Earlier this week we lost a gold soul, probably mistaken for a hood fella. Good, better days just emerged, cause I've been reading all these words and feeding all my people I seen on the curb to help them do better. So who better than the person that know that you better than you used to be in your last season? The living, breathing God of the day and the God of tomorrow. I'm tired of losing these talented youngins.
The House DC has not only made an impact in our local community, but also globally. For example, a group from Hong Kong toured nonprofits in the U.S., and we were told later that of all the places they visited, the House DC was the most impactful. We also traveled to Ghana to train leadership and took a former House student, Keith, with us to establish a recording studio for a youth center.
I keep my Savior, born in a manger. No higher days, no greater. Holy Ghost in my tempo. Even He know, I let it go. I put it in the...
My name is Keith Kelly. I started going to the House DC 2004 with the tools and skills that I've gained from being at the House. I had the opportunity to work with some really good producers and artists. Like one of the biggest producers that I'm like, excited that I'm just so hype that I work with was Al West. I appreciate the House DC for just opening my mind and just being a youth program right in the middle of DC where a lot of things is going on and trying to make a difference. It's not about money. It's not about any of that. It's about making a difference in someone's life.
It's significant that a group of Black people coming from and or serving in an impoverished community has an opportunity to make a global impact. Being able to connect with an orphanage in Zambia and provide training allowed the House DC to continue to extend its reach. Our alumni Tajay has studied abroad, and her ultimate goal is to be a diplomat.
A lot of the times we get more than just coming in and playing around with each other. We get life advice, we get assistance, like mental health assistance, we get spiritual assistance, we talk about Christ. That's something you can't do in any high school. A lot of the time staff are restricted from talking about religion. You have a long-term mentorship when you come to the House DC. At a recreation center, it may be staff popping in and out and people leaving and people coming, but at the House DC, for the most part, we have people who are consistent and they're invested in making change and meaningful impact, and they won't go anywhere until they feel like that's accomplished.
The House DC is a critical ministry at a critical time in a critical place, and yet we have seen the mighty work of God. If you would like to support our mission, visit thehousedc.org.
Building our futures with brothers and sisters. He's calling us deeper. He's breaking the cycles. Building our futures with brothers and sisters. He's calling us deeper. He's breaking the cycles and building our futures with brothers and sisters. He's calling us deeper.